Hi, this is Steve Niles, and you're watching Dread Central.
Sentence is a classic revenge story, but with a slight difference, with a twist. It's unique in that you know, you don't quite expect what to happen. You know, like halfway into the film. It's a story about a father, an everyday man, you know, whom one day witnesses his son getting killed right before his eyes, and he's angered by this, and he decides to go after the bad guys. He decides to take the law into his own hands. But what he finds out is that revenge can cut both ways as well.
Death Wish was actually a novel, and it is the same novelist. This is another book that the guy wrote. I went back and looked at the first Death Wish. I didn't make it through all 8 of them, you know, which I knew very well as a young man, but I had not seen it in a long time. The thing that's really different about Death Wish is that Death Wish is a movie about a guy who takes the law into his own hands, becomes a vigilante, and goes after all criminals. In fact, Bronson doesn't even go after the guys who hurt his family. He just doesn't even focus on them. He just puts himself into situations where he knows he's going to get mugged, and turns around and smacks him in the head, or shoots him or whatever. In Death Sentence, it's much more of a revenge movie than a vigilante movie. True, the guy does go outside the law and makes that terrible, fatal mistake, but it's really more about this cycle of violence that he unfortunately creates, and that he is then focused on this one gang and seeking revenge.
But it all deals within the sort of each character's capacity of how far they'll go to protect what they own, because within my character and his character there's a juxtaposition. We both have our family that's being affected by this, and it's a test of how far I will go and how far he will go to protect what we own.
So in a strange way, you start to learn a little bit more on the personal side about who he is. In the beginning of the movie, you just think of him as this like crazy gang monster kind of guy. You start to learn a little bit more about his personal side. And on the flip side, you start to see me transform a little bit more into who he is. And at the end of the film, you look at the two of us, we were the last men standing, and it's like the same, like two sides of the same character. With about 30 years difference, but still.
You go near my family, and I will cut out your guts like I did your friend. Do you hear me? He was my friend. He was my brother. And now I'm coming for the rest of your family.
I try to show a lot of it from the point of view of the gang members as well, especially through Garrett Hedlund's character. I think, like, all he is, he's out there to protect his family, and his family is his gang, and I think it's important to not just make them be throwaway villains, because that would kind of cheapen the film, I think.
What I basically tried to do with my character was make it so he wasn't just some sort of figure, wasn't some mannequin where all this was just piled on top of him. The wardrobe and the makeup and everything, I didn't want to try and just look mean, I wanted to be mean, and that comes from coming into work hungover. You come into work a little hungover, and all of a sudden the light pisses you off, somebody telling you what to do pisses you off, and you're just about to explode.
Shaking it off on Friday is difficult, because you know that you're going to have to get back into it on Monday. So it affects your thoughts, it affects my dreams, I feel a strong need to get back in touch with my family and see my kids and kind of reaffirm that they're okay, and because I'm spending all this time with feeling the opposite, and of course using them, which I have to use them for my own kind of sense memory sort of thing.
Not only does my character sort of pull empathy from the audience, but also Kevin's does. Kevin's a father in this film that has had a lot of tragedy happen to him in a very short amount of time, and that's not good, Phil. Both my character and Kevin Bacon's character sort of pull empathy out of the audience.
I know that I cannot compete with the big summer blockbusters. I don't have 200 million here to work with, so I can do CGI and really over-the-top stuff. So I decided to really go the opposite way and make a movie with action scenes that are really intense and gritty. One
of the things I'm really very proud about in terms of the film, proud of James's work and the stunt team, the special effects team, is that this day and age, I mean, most action films are really driven by a lot of CG, by a lot of digital effects, and there's none in that sense. So everything that's there is real, and it's kind of like in a way going back to the way films were made in the early Bronson's days, or Peckinpah,
There's classic chases. I mean, we got a chase that'll kill Point Break's Patrick Swayze race. All right, we go through the alleys, just open firing. So it's one of those classic. Why aren't they arrested for that shooting in public? But then again, these guys are just they're good at what they do.
I think people should go see this film because there's nothing like this out there right now. In amongst all these $200 million summer blockbusters and all that, with over-the-top CGI, here's a film that really harks back to just, storytelling and about emotion, and it's got great acting and really scary action scenes.
Well, the reason people are going to come to this film because it's the great sort of it's the classic vigilante sort of premise of a film. The films we all loved. $80 million less budget, but all your money worth of performance.
Kevin Bacon is truly one of the greatest actors I've always admired. I think he's such a great actor. I think he's one of the few people out there that has such a wide range. He can play a good guy and he can play a bad guy, as well. And he plays so many shades in between as well. And Kevin is so fantastic in this film. I really think his performance really anchored the whole film for me, and really is one of the reasons why people are gonna cry in this film as well. It's a tearjerker.
Oh, really?
I call it my tearjerker with guns. But that's what it is. It's a real emotional film, and Kevin, Kelly Preston, they really bring a lot to the family side of things, and even Garrett Hedlund as well. For him, it's about protecting his family too. So it really is a story about two very different kind of families, two very different worlds colliding. Like their paths crossing, and it can only end in a very bad way.